What are the key differences in Scandinavian literary styles? Imagine walking through a forest where each tree tells a story in a different way. That's a bit like how Scandinavian countries express themselves through their literature. Each nation has its own voice shaped by history, language, and culture. Let's take a closer look at how they differ and what makes each style unique. Denmark has a long tradition of storytelling that mixes fairy tales and historical narratives. Think of Hans Christian Andersen, who created stories that are both magical and reflective of society. Danish literature often blends romantic ideas with realism, showing everyday life but also questioning social issues like class and inequality. Sometimes it has a sharp, even nihilistic edge, especially when writers critique modern society. Iceland's literary style is rooted in its medieval past. The famous sagas are stories of Norse heroes, gods, and ancient battles. These texts are mostly prose but include poetic parts called rimmer, which are rhymed epic poems. They were meant to be told aloud, so they have a rhythmic, musical quality. Icelandic writers today still draw inspiration from these old stories, keeping the connection to their Viking heritage alive. Norwegian literature took a quiet, reserved turn until the 19th century. When Norway gained independence, writers started focusing on simple, honest stories about everyday life. Norwegian authors often write with a minimalist style, using few words but conveying deep feelings. They tend to explore themes of melancholy, nature, and personal struggles, avoiding overly complex ideas. Their stories feel very close to the land and the people. Swedish writers have a rich history that includes a golden age of literature and romantic movements. They often write with sincerity and a sense of tradition. Themes like love, nature, and history are common. Sweden also has a strong tradition of children's books, with authors like Astrid Lindgren creating stories that mix imagination with social issues. Swedish literature tends to be broad and accessible, often addressing universal themes. Finland's literature is different because the Finnish language is not related to the other Scandinavian languages. Finnish writers often focus on their unique cultural identity. The Kalevala, a famous epic poem, was created during the Romantic nationalist movement and reflects Finland's mythic past. Modern Finnish writers continue to explore themes of identity, nature, and modern life, blending old traditions with new ideas. Across Scandinavia, a common thread is the focus on realism and minimalism. Writers often prefer simple, clear language that reveals complex emotions and social critiques. Scandinavian crime fiction, called Nordic Noir, is also popular. It features dark atmospheres, complex characters, and stories that comment on society's problems. In the end, each country's literary style reflects its history and values. Denmark's stories often look at society and social issues. Iceland's are rooted in ancient sagas and mythology. Norway's focus on everyday life and nature. Sweden's combine tradition with broad themes like love and history. Finland's highlight their unique language and cultural roots. Together, they create a diverse and fascinating picture of Scandinavian literature.